What up, guys? Welcome back to an episode here on the Mindful Chiropractor podcast. Excited to have you back on. And I'm looking forward to today's topic. It's going to be one that has been asked about quite some time on our Facebook group. So if you have not joined our free Facebook group called the Prosperous Chiropractor Club, join us. We have one on LinkedIn. We have one on Facebook. You can check out the show notes below to get involved. It's totally free, and it's strict to only chiropractors. How many times have you been a part of a chiropractic group where you got some people on there that are not even chiropractors? They're part of marketing, and they help market their coaches or whatever that is. And then they're only being part of the group so they can go spam everybody on there. I know I've been part of it. I used to get tired of seeing it. I wanted a group that was strictly only chiropractors, and it is. I vet everybody before they come into the group, that they must be a chiropractor or a student who's about to graduate within a certain period of time. So check it out, totally free. Last but not least, I have a new program coming out. I've had great success in my coaching for chiropractors in the last 2 years. And I've had some chiropractors ask me, instead of a 6-month program, do you ever do anything that's like 3 months? And I said, I'll eventually do that, but not right now. I want to make sure that this 6 months is a good enough time, and I got my systems in place and I got everything cleared out. And we've had such great success last year. This year alone, the average chiropractor increased in my coaching. And just this year alone, we're not even done with the year, about 50 to 65% on average. That's on average. Okay. I have 4 clients that doubled already. So it's one of those things where this program, I'm now going to take it from 6 months and do a 90-day program. It's called the Chiros Success Accelerator. 90-day program to quantum leap your life. Right now, I'm just building a wait list for it. We are going to be launching, and it's going to be a 3-day window to it. And I'm only taking 5 chiropractors in this program. So you have to qualify for the program. And then with it, because there's going to be, since it's the first time I'm doing this, there's a nice, I guess you can call it the founders. Nah, not really. But it's going to be at a discounted price because it's our first one. We're doing a case study on this. So because of that, I'm not going to charge for full price for the program. And so you get a benefit of that also. But I'm only taking 5 chiropractors, 90 days, once a week with me, to radically change your practice and your life. Go to the show notes to check out and learn more. Well, let's get to today's topic. It's one that I've seen very interesting to see the interest in this. And it's something that we have issues with in our profession in many different ways. If you own a business, most chiropractors who own businesses are at fault at this. And it's just understanding the metrics of this process. And that is associates, right? Some people have great systems to where, and it's very few though, but great systems when it comes to having an associate and how to use the metrics and how to evaluate, what to pay them, what do you want them for, what are they going to utilize. We're going to get into all that today because it's something that I've seen. I didn't have great experience with my associate. I just didn't know how to get. It depends on the person, right? It's the person, their psychology, their personality, who they are as an individual, and so much more. And some people aren't just mentally, and I'm not saying this person was or wasn't, it's just overall, I'm speaking on a general perspective. Some people are meant to be entrepreneurs, some aren't. And that's okay. Some people have that knack in them and some don't. And that's perfectly fine. That's why some people are associates, and they're associates their whole entire life. And it's great. They make great money. They have a living. They go do what they need to do. They go home, no stress, no worries. And that's what they want. And that is awesome. Heck, sometimes I thought about it myself. And then there's others who, like entrepreneurs like ourselves sometimes, who own a practice and they want to grow. They want to take on the challenge. They take on the stress. They take on all that risk to grow, expand, and evolve their practice. But how do you make associateship work? What do you look for? What are the metrics? Well, I personally believe, and this is just me, this is what I did for my associate. This is what I always recommend for clients. I've worked with 4 clients right now with helping them with getting an associate. We're putting the plan together. What's the bonus systems going to look like? What's the long-term success going to look like? All the fun stuff from a business side, but there's also the mindset side. And I want to go there first. If you come on, mindful chiropractor, I'm going to go there. What's the purpose of the associate? Why do you want them there? What are they doing? What's your vision of your practice? Do you want to stay in your practice? Are you looking to have an associate help expand? Are you looking to take a little bit of step back and be more on the business? Like, what's the purpose? What's the why? Some people just want to get an associate and just dump all the work they don't want to do and give it to the associate. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it. You're your own business owner. You can do what you want. But I think you want to be clear and concise on what it is you really want it for. And if it's just that, you're wasting your time. You want to find somebody who's, that's going to fit the values and the vision and the purpose of what it is you want to take the practice to and you want to serve. Okay. So maybe you want a little more less time off. Maybe you want to take a little bit less of the load of patients. All right. That's cool. Or maybe you want someone to come in and you want to go ahead and say, you know what, I'm going to start building this person up where I can work less, but I'm going to market more in the practice. That sounds cool. What's that purpose going to be? Or maybe you're so maxed out that you want to just stay where you are and then just feed everything else to them. I mean, there's so many variables I can go with this, guys. This is. I'm not going to give you a cookie cutter answer. There's so many ways you can go with why you want to have an associate, but you have to determine that. And only you can determine that. A lot of times, chiropractors don't even know the vision and the purpose of why they are, the purpose of their business, the purpose of their life, and why they exist. Most people don't know that. It's not just chiropractors, it's business owners. I ask that, what do you want in life? And it's amazing how that answer is very hard to answer. So then we have to ask that question that, okay, you got to get clear with that. You got to know what your values are, and you got to know why you want that associate. Once you do all that, now we move on to step 2. Step 2 now becomes, well, what are you looking for when you want the why of the associate? Do you want this associate short-term? You want it long-term? Do you want to create a partnership down the road? Like, what's that contract going to show? Right? Because I had an opportunity to potentially do a partnership. And the whole conversation for a whole month was, we had about 3-4 meetings, and it was all about partnership. We talked about what pay was going to be, bonus structure, got into all the benefits, and we talked about partnership. That was the whole main of the conversation. And I always tell people, contract will always tell you the intention. The contract always tells you the intention. Doesn't matter what someone says in the meeting, it's going to be in the contract, because that's the bottom line. When shit hits the fan, it's the contract that's going to matter, not what you said in a conversation. And the contract was a brutal one of the worst ones I've ever read. Now I've done now 9-10 different contracts that I've helped with for clients, and one was for 2 of them. Two of them were for myself, and so 12 of them I've overlooked and done and looked at. It was one of the worst contracts I ever read in my entire life. I mean, totally one-sided, which is brutal. That's not a contract. That's not an agreement. That's not a negotiation. But long story short, it was all about an association. I'm not looking to be an associate. I was looking to be a partner. And so when you look at the contract, what are you looking for? How do you design it? What's the pay salary going to be? So here's step number 1. If you're looking to have an associate, you know what to pay them. Go on Indeed. Go look at what jobs are out there. Look what the pay range is going to be. Okay. Don't do these sale tactics where some people are doing this now, and it's so ridiculous as a chiropractor. Don't be this person. I'm calling you out if you do this. Don't be this person when you say, hey, you could be an associate in our office. Our pay rate is from $70,000 to $150,000. Yeah, right. That's a pay rate. When you go talk to the person, it's 70 to 85. That bonus is what will potentially get you there. Don't bait and switch a person. Tell them what the base salary is, right? What's the base salary going on around the area? Give them something. Now, I'm a firm believer, less base salary, bigger bonus. That's just me. I like partnerships, right? So the associate contract I had, and what I usually work with clients is going to be, we did one where my associate, if we doubled the practice, he would have made over $300,000 a year. I wanted him to be taken care of, but he had to get to that point, right? I've done it for another person. Same thing. Was the associate could have made up to I think it was $260,000. And if we got to that point, we were going to reassess partnership and stuff like that. So it's one of those things where I like to see big bonus, lower salary, big bonus. That's usually the contracts I usually would recommend when it comes to being the doc. Now the associates like the other thing. Now, if you're on the associate side, they want the base salary to be high, and they want the bonus to be high. But it doesn't usually work that way unless you have someone. Now here's where I have rules, and then there's exceptions to everything. What if you get a doc that's just really good, right? 10, 12 years of experience, great adjuster, good communicator. They got good clinical skills. You like their energy. Pay them a higher base. Secure them and give them a bonus because they've already done it. You don't have, there's just so much less headaches in that. And the problem with chiropractors, business owners, sometimes we get too much on the bottom line and we don't look at the person we're working with. So backstory about me, I've been looking into, I was going to buy my own practice that fell through. I was going to do a partnership that fell through. And so I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, okay, do I start a practice? Financially right now, I have too much stuff tied in investment, so I can't really do that per se. So I'm like, well, I can join a team as long as there's growth. And what I mean by growth is I either can have equity into the practice, maybe open up other ones, and I can help lead those or whatever it may be, help in that process, help grow the practice overall. And that's kind of where my mentality is and where I'm at, because if I don't open a practice, I want to at least have that opportunity. And so it's one of those things where the reason I'm bringing this all up, because I've had 2 times this happen where these opportunities came and then something happened in it where they're like, you are the perfect person, what I'm looking for. Lead doc, run an office. I know you can excel the office. You're a coach. I know you helped others with this already, man. You are the perfect person. It's just the timing isn't right now. And I'm like, you have the perfect person sitting right in front of you that won't be here now. I'm looking to, I'm actually, I have some plans in place, and I'll talk more about those as the time comes up. Keep you posted. I've got some good things. I want to get back in practice. I didn't realize how much I was going to miss taking care of patients and connecting. It's been so amazing doing coverage work for the last 7-8 months, to where I've been part of some practices for a couple months covering, and the sharing advice, opening my heart and things like that has been, the response has been so great. And I was like, man, I missed this. This is something I want to figure out how to get back into. And so it's that concept of, when you have someone who's really, really good, pay them the higher base. Don't even try to nickel and dime. Too many times chiropractors and business owners, they try to nickel and dime. Someone's worth it, pay them. It's an investment. That's the thing you have to see. So I know I got a little off tangent there, but I want to tie this all together here. So we talked about contract based, what is it going to be? And the thing is, you got to remember, what are you willing to invest in that person? You're taking a risk by investing in them, but you're going to make more. You're going to have more time, more freedom, and should have more money from that down the road. Maybe not in the beginning, but down the road you should. And you're investing into the person. If you got someone that's good, do what you got to do to keep them, because it's rare to find a good. I mean, heck, I can't how many times I have one guy. This can potentially be where I could be a regional person on this and take this on a whole nother level. It's just they're not ready right now, but it may be. He wanted me to adjust him. That was one. He loved the conversation. He already knew. He was like, "Oh, you're perfect for this." He goes, "I don't even have to." He goes, "Just adjust me," and I adjusted him. And he got up and he goes, "It's amazing how many chiropractors can adjust." He goes, "That was a phenomenal adjustment." He goes, I don't, and it was manual. I don't practice manual. My office wasn't manual, but I still practice my skill sets. And so it was one of those things. He was like, it's just fascinating how many docs that we see that just don't adjust well. So if you find a doc who can adjust well, that's someone that you want to make sure you hook onto, right? So base salary, bonus, you want to look at that. Some people say, hey, doc, where can I find them? Well, you can go on Indeed. It's a free post. You can do it up on there. There's groups, which you can do it. Also on Facebook, which I recommend. Those are the 2 avenues I would do if you're looking for an associate. And, and you have your association website, which works wonders. I know here in Tennessee, it's great. It's very active. And so those are 3 areas that I would focus on when you're looking for an associate. And you're going to go a whole plethora of people, whole many different types of people and all that stuff. Remember, at the end of the day, I had a coach tell me one time, for patients, you accept patients in your office, those you would go to dinner with. And basically what he was meaning by that is those you would have conversations with, those you would enjoy their energy and being around. Because you want to have fun in your office. You don't want to have someone who you're going to have a pain, have to try to convince and fight them all the time when it comes. Why would you want them there? Same thing as your associate. You want to have someone who you can gel with, good energy. You like who they are. You like their personality. All those things play a role. Okay. So that is those aspects that you really want to do. So you have the bonus, you have that, you have benefits. What kind of benefits you want to apply? What do you use in your business that you're going to help them with? Right. I think a gold standard should always be malpractice insurance should be covered. All CEUs should be covered. Any relicensing fees covered by the doc. I think that's just critically important. Help them out with that. You can add in other things like pay time off. You can look at short-term, long-term disability. You can look at 401ks, IRAs. You can do equity, eventually lead to a partnership where they can take a percentage of profits. There's all these different stuff that you can do, and you can get creative with it. Again, it comes back to the vision. You're going to hear me say this a gazillion times. What is the long-term stuff that you're looking for when it comes to your practice and what you want to do for your associate, right? Because that's going to be the end of the bottom line. What are the things that they need? What are their goals? What's their vision? Why are they a chiropractor? What's the importance of what they want to do? How do they see themselves in 3 to 5 years from now? Do they want to be owning their own practice? Do they want to just be working for somebody? If they want to own their own practice, hey, maybe this be someone you can build and work with, and you can open up another office and let them lead it. There's so many ways you can go with things. Again, it comes down to what you're interested in. I have a vision and a goal right now to own 10 clinics in 10 years. I think I want to get there in 5, but in 10 years, I'm going to own 10 clinics. That's one of the things I'm focusing on because it was a vision of mine when I was 24 years old. I was sitting and having lunch with Fabrizio Mancini, and we talked about my vision in chiropractic. And I told him how I want to open up clinics and coach the people in that clinic to present a specific way of chiropractic and returning it back to tonal, neuro focus base and stuff like that. Yeah, there's other ones out there, and that's great. It's just what I feel is a huge missing link in chiropractic. And I'm coming to that now at 40, realizing that that's what I want to do. It's coming back to me now. And so I have a goal of 10 clinics by the time I'm 50. I have a feeling it's going to be more than that, but that's where I'm putting the goal at. So if you have a goal like that, and you want to open up multiple clinics, this is where now associateship looks at different things, right? And you make your main one where you're at a teaching center, and then you open up the clinics along the way, whatever that is. It's just so many variables. So we talked about the basics, right? There's nothing too crazy, but I think one of the things that I'm a big fan of that I use this for my coaching clients. I do something called the human design. They get a 2-hour report from me on what their human design is. It maps up everything of who they are, what they're about, and so forth. It gets down to it's based on quantum physics and like 7 other things, and it's so accurate, it's crazy. A new one that I'm getting into for clients is going to become something called the Spark test, and it's another way of looking at what their strengths are, what they enjoy, and then what they don't like, and it helps just to understand from a team perspective to have the pieces that make things really work. So these are things that you can do. You can do like a DISC personality test. I used to do that for people working for me, so I know how to communicate with them a little better, which did work. There's an 18 questionnaire. You can look it up online, and it works wonders. You can use other things like, I forget what it is, Higgs or something, personality and all those things, and know who you are and all that. But sometimes you get a little carried away. I like simple stuff, make it easy. And that way you can know who they are and how they work, so you can know how to gel with them a little better. I think those are all critical standpoints when it comes to finding an associate. But you don't want to take advantage of the person. Too many times we do. As chiropractors, we eat our own. It's sad. I talked to a lot of chiros who've have that experience. They got eaten up by the chiropractor, and they had a negative view and couldn't believe the chiropractor screwed them over or had something in a contract. They took advantage of. They didn't know, and they say, "Oh, they're being a victim." I get that. They're not being a victim per se if they didn't know, and now they're knowledgeable of it, and they're like, "Oh man, I didn't know what that meant." Well, it's their fault. They should have got a lawyer and should have known that. I agree 100%. I'm all with you on it. But in business, we don't take care of. It's more of, I don't know. I do European business, which means I'm more European like, which is like I get to know the people, get to know the values, who they are, and so forth, and then we talk business. If that's not good on the personal side, I don't care about the business side. And so it's taking care of people, doing the right thing, and so forth. So when you have an associate, think about putting yourself in their shoes. What would you want? How would you feel taken care of? I mean, that's it's simple as that. End of the podcast. We're done. I mean, because seriously, when you think about it, treat them how you want to be treated. I mean, it's the principle that I live by. And it's the principle that at this stage of my game, of my life, it's one of those things that it's something I strictly and strongly live by. And some people think in business, I'm being too kind. And I tell them, listen, I'm just trying not to take advantage of you. I can play the business game. You want to play the mind business game? We can go all day. But then again, I may win something. You're going to have buyer's remorse. How's that agreement? Negotiation. This is what I love when the business. I learned this a couple of years ago. I heard this. It was a quote, and it said, "Negotiation is when two people win." And I was just like, "Man, that's good. That is good," because it is. And the contract is a win-win for both sides. You have to have a contract. Don't do anything without it. But it's one of those principles. So let's recap everything. I know I was kind of getting on some tangents here a little bit, but number one, the Captive podcast. You have to know your why you want to associate. What's the values? What's the vision? What's the purpose of your practice and what you want to do with yourself? Where do you see you in 5, 10 years, 15 years down the road? And why is associate going to play a role and how they're going to play a role in that? All right. Second, I shared about how to find them. Facebook groups, Indeed. You can reach out, put an ad there, your association. Usually those are going to be the good ones. That gives you a good enough traction. Third, then you got to look at what's your base salary? How do you find that out? Go look at what's going out there for associateships right now. Don't be. I had one guy tell me, he's like, the joint charges this charge gives this much per year. That's what it is. And I was like, you're gonna go off the joint? Okay, I'm all right. Do you? I'm not arguing with that. Take it into consideration, but look at what that range is. and make that the range of the base salary. Don't be like some of these guys who do bonuses on top and say that's the range. It's a wrong way of doing things, in my opinion, because bonus is not guaranteed. What's the base salary? That's guaranteed. And there's many things you can do, because I know you have to train the associate and get them all into things. You can do sliding scales. You can do a certain fixed base before they go in, then they enter their higher one. There's many ways you can play around with that. What's the bonus structure going to be, right? What's the percentage of sales that you averaged in the last 6 months is what I think is fair. Take out the outliers, up and below, and then that's the average. And then whatever's above that, they get a bonus on. And what do you want to bonus that to? And how do you want to do that? What other benefits are you going to get? Okay. So we have all that list and so forth. The last thing was personality tests, right? You want to have somebody who you enjoy their personality. It's the energy. You're going to be working with them. You're going to be spending a lot of time with them. You want to be someone you can trust. So there's things that you can do. Spark tests. You can do a DISC personality test. Those are some good ones there. You can do strength finders. That's another good one, to know more about them and what really gets them and what gets them going. Right. So like a spark test is great. I've done it. And it's, I'm like a researcher. I'm a scientist. That's the name. It's called the scientist. I love solving problems and puzzles. It's just amazing. I love it. It inspires me. I like to take on, I almost took on a business I was going to buy that needed a full 180-degree change. I was so excited for that than I was of taking the practice over. I mean, I was more excited to just revamping everything in it, because it's a problem. There's a lot of problems. There was a lot of challenges in there. But I knew with my expertise level and where I'm at in practice and all the experience I've had with my own practice and coaching, I knew I could turn that around and make it what it needed to be. But that's pretty much it. I mean, it's simple as that. It doesn't have to be rocket science, but the last and the most important thing to share with you on that the recap is turn the table. How would you want to be treated in that process? What's a base salary? Don't go off where you are now with your experience. Just go off what, if you were there in their shoes, if they're 2 years out, they're 5 years out, they're 10 years out, what would you want the contract to look like? What would you want the negotiations to be? And how would you want that to be? Be fair. And do your work. And I think that's where it'll come down to. And I think if you do that, it's going to be a search like anything else. Man, I used to hear my dad say this all the time. Hard work's good to find, or good workers are hard to find, right? He would always say that. And good work or good help is hard to find. And I never understood that, because when I worked for people, they would always be like, this guy's hardworking, man. He's a hard worker. He's an overachiever. He's a man. I had more job opportunities offers to me when I was a teenager, just because of my work ethic. And I get it from my parents. And I'm very blessed for that. And I remember I was going to work at a warehouse, a grocery warehouse, and it was just summer help. And the head, what was he? What was his title? Anyhow, the head person of the warehouse, I had family members that worked there. That's how I got my job. One of my great uncles got me in. But long story short, he came up to me. He goes, "How do I keep you?" Literally, I'm getting ready to go back to school. He goes, "How do I keep you? What do we have to do?" I said, "You're not going to be able to." I said, "I'm going back. I'm going to become a chiropractor. So I'm just doing this just to make some money, to make ends meet, and then I'm heading back." And so I was going back to Arizona, and he was like, "Man," he goes, "there's a job available here. You just say your name. I have you on a record book. You say your name. The job's yours. Whatever you want. I'll give you full pay, all this stuff." And I was just like, I appreciate that very much. I've had that many times in my process, because that's the ethic I have. And doing that work. So when you find that chiropractor, that associate who's willing to put in that energy, man, don't pass them up. I see chiropractors sometimes do that where the timing's just not right. That's okay if it's not. You may want to trust that. But sometimes it's like, man, but if you know this can work, figure out a way. There's always a way. I want to appreciate you guys as always. Thank you for tuning back in. And I look forward to chatting with you guys in a couple of weeks. Have an amazing couple of weeks. And keep rocking and rolling. If you have any questions, or if you need help in these processes, or if you're looking for some guidance to quantum leap your practice, let me know. In the show notes, I have a thing where you can sign up, fill out a questionnaire, and it'll take you to a chance to book a call with me. Free call, only serious inquiries. Appreciate you guys. Much love, and I'll see you guys the next time.